这个这个这个都抓不起来，这个他们的官都看了，全国人民都看了，这是他们的官，这是官，他们的官，看看看看。这啥呀？这是啊？有人吗？有人吗？有人吗？啊！你们在。
What you're about to see is not an accident. It's the natural result of a system obsessed with speed and appearances while ignoring safety and substance. This is the dark world of tofu-dreg engineering, cheap, corner-cutting construction that has quietly spread across China, putting millions of lives in danger every single day. On July 26, 2025, a construction worker in Chongqing stood high on the 33rd floor, holding up his phone as he uncovered a chilling truth. The insulation layer beneath his feet was already coming loose. With frustration in his voice, he asked the haunting question millions silently wonder. If you saw this, would you fix it or pretend you didn't notice? Just weeks earlier, on May 29th, a blogger in Jiangsu stumbled upon something that left the internet stunned. In the middle of a brick-paved road, she zoomed her camera in on an object no one expected, a printer embedded inside the pavement. Comments exploded online. "We've uncovered a state secret," one joked. Another asked, "Since when are printers used as road foundations?" But behind the dark humor lies a terrifying thought. If this is what we can see on the surface, what horrors are hidden beneath? These are not isolated cases. Across China, shaky footage reveals bizarre construction practices. A single thin steel rod dropped into a massive concrete slab. Cement poured directly over piles of loose stones. Workers casually embedding axes and coins into fresh flooring. Nobody knows why they do it, but the videos raise a chilling question. If the foundations look like this, what about the homes, schools, and offices people live in every day? On July 6, 2025, a student at Yinyang Middle School filmed the ceiling of a waiting hall. The panels were barely holding together, swaying as if ready to fall at any second. His blunt caption read, "Tofu-dreg project at Yinyang Middle School. The ceiling is literally blown apart." In dark humor, he added, "Please, Jinda building, stay up. I still have a whole year of high school left." Sadly, these fears are not exaggerated. In Fuzhou, on December 25, 2024, a classroom ceiling collapsed, sending a student to the hospital. Officials brushed it off as not serious. In Guizhou, on June 4, 2025, part of a hospital ceiling fell directly onto patient beds. A vlogger bitterly wrote, "A multi-million-dollar tofu-dreg project right here in a hospital." If schools and hospitals aren't safe, what about shopping malls, the supposed showcases of China's booming economy? On July 22, 2025, a mall ceiling in Dongguan suddenly caved in. That same month in Xiamen, another mall's suspended ceiling came crashing down, forcing panicked shoppers to flee for their lives. The disasters piled up. On May 6, 2025 in Shanghai, the ceiling of a Sam's Club collapsed in an instant, filling the store with dust and debris. Witnesses described the chaos. It fell all at once. People thought someone had been crushed. On August 9, 2025, diners in a Guangzhou restaurant were enjoying their meal when the entire ceiling above their table gave way, exposing years of mold and water damage hidden from sight. Sometimes the danger isn't inside the building, it's outside. On July 12, 2025, in Sichuan, 3 massive storefront signs suddenly tore loose and crashed onto the street. A woman filming at the scene trembled as she wrote, "If this had happened in the morning when the lychee vendors were here, it would have been a massacre." But not every story ends with luck. Just weeks later, on August 17th in Shanghai, a huge glass window shattered and fell onto pedestrians below, killing one. 2 days earlier, on August 15th, the ceiling of a milk tea shop collapsed, crushing a 17-year-old worker to death on the very first day the shop opened. China's crumbling structures are no longer rare accidents. They are turning into a chilling pattern. What started with cracks in facades has now spread to collapsing bridges, washed-away projects, and even homes that should have been safe havens. Each failure leaves the same haunting question. If everyday buildings are this fragile, what about the nation's major infrastructure? Take May 30th, 2025, in Suining, Sichuan. A railway bridge suddenly gave way, crashing onto a truck below. The cabin was flattened, and official voices quickly blamed the truck's height. But online outrage told another story. This bridge was already a time bomb. A simple hit shouldn't bring it down. Netizens called it yet another tofu-dreg project. Only days earlier in Guilin, Guangxi, floodwaters tore through a bridge still under construction. Authorities rushed to claim that only a retaining wall had failed, not the bridge itself. But skepticism flooded social media. If the project was solid, why did a single storm rip it apart? Even Beijing, the nation's capital, hasn't been spared. The Xiaoyue River's Rainbow Bridge, supposedly designed to last a century, collapsed twice within months. First a fire, then flooding, each time followed by an official explanation, each time met with public disbelief. And tragedies go far beyond embarrassment. The Jiangsu Yellow River Bridge, part of a critical railway, collapsed mid-construction. A steel arch plunged into the water, killing at least 12. Workers later revealed they had been pushed into 24-hour shifts to meet political deadlines. One survivor said, "We were only 4 meters from finishing." That unfinished 4 meters cost lives. But the nightmare doesn't stop with public works. It enters people's homes. Videos show high-rises with peeling walls, massive cracks, and facades that could fall at any moment. In Chongqing, a man who moved into a new home found sinking foundations and cracked ceilings within a year. Local officials dismissed him with paperwork, insisting the documents are qualified. Even older buildings are falling apart. In Qinhuangdao, Hebei, balconies collapsed from a 40-year-old block. Property rights may last 70 years, but residents are left asking, will their homes survive even half that long? From highways and railways to family apartments, China's construction failures follow the same cycle: collapse, denial, and growing public anger. The final question is unavoidable. Are these accidents the result of poor workmanship or the inevitable product of a system built on speed, shortcuts, and silence? The tofu-dreg curse: truth buried, lives lost. The scars of China's tofu-dreg construction were seared into history during the 2008 Wenchuan earthquake. As the earth shook, classrooms collapsed like sandcastles, burying 5,335 children beneath the rubble, while nearby government offices stood untouched. That was the day the world realized the real price of China's development miracle. But instead of justice, Beijing chose silence. When activist Tan Zoren investigated and compiled a list of the dead, he wasn't honored. He was handcuffed, tried, and locked away. The regime's message was ruthless. Exposing shoddy construction is a crime against the state. This culture of cover-ups allowed corruption to grow unchecked. Dissident Feng Sigrui, now in exile, explains how the system itself guarantees rot. Every project is subcontracted again and again, with officials skimming money at each layer. By the time it reaches the builders, budgets are so hollow that cheap cement and weak steel are the only options. Cutting corners isn't an accident. It's the only way the project survives. Now this rotten framework collides with an economic storm. Developers are drowning in debt, yet local governments still demand astronomical land fees. The result? A flood of half-finished rotten-tail buildings and mounting pressure to build faster and cheaper. What began as a hidden scandal is now a worsening national crisis. The past was a crime concealed. The future points toward catastrophe. The collapse ahead: China's ticking time bomb. After the Meizhou-Dabu Expressway disaster claimed nearly 50 lives, the CCP called it a natural disaster. But American bridge engineer Xu Xiaowai flatly rejected that excuse. This was not fate, he declared, but a predictable design failure. Xu revealed that over a decade ago he had already warned China would face waves of structural disasters. His verdict is chilling. After decades of corruption-fueled speed building, the nation is now entering a deadly new chapter: mass post-construction failure. What's falling apart isn't just today's new buildings, it's the entire infrastructure built over the last 3 decades, all crumbling at once. The Chinese public has little idea of the danger, shielded by state censorship. Yet insiders know the truth. Architect Li Hu put it bluntly, the problem is structural. China builds too fast. The number of tofu-dreg projects will shock you. And the danger is not only spectacular bridge collapses, it's the constant leaks, cracks, and failures that people quietly accept as the price of survival in this system. The tofu-dreg disasters of yesterday were not isolated tragedies. They are time bombs planted across the nation, set to explode in the coming years. The countdown has already begun, and when it reaches zero, the collapse will not be avoidable.